So as I promised you guys, I would do a full breakdown of the cost of getting this here up and running, as well as the good and the bads of my auction experience. I just want to make a disclaimer that this is something that you should attempt with proper research. Buying something on auction, it really just depends on doing proper research and not doing impulsive buying. I'll be overlaying some clips of the stuff that I'm referring to as I go along. I made a list, that's how long it is. So starting off with the first thing, registration of the car. That's gonna cost me around $3,000. I haven't done it yet. I need to put the car on my name and also get it re-registered because the license is behind a year, so that's going to cost me about $3.5 grand. Secondly, as you guys saw in the last video that I made about the Audi, I got new / second-hand wheels for the car. They already have tires on which are in pretty decent condition, but they would need to be upgraded soon. So a new set of tires for the specs of the Audi is about 11,500 rand excluding fitment and wheel alignment and balancing. The second-hand wheels that I got, the bronze Seat Leon, I think it's Seat Leon wheels, they cost me 4.5 grand. Then, as I mentioned while driving the car after I fit the new wheels, one of the rear shocks is busy going, so they are 3,300 rand for one shock absorber. As I mentioned in the pickup video, there's a few issues with the paint, scratches and dents, and you'll see as I overlay the clip now underneath on the front bumper, it is pretty hectically scratched, so that's going to cost me around 4 grand. I'm just estimating on that. I don't have a definite price. It already, luckily, blessings, already has a 3-inch or 3.5-inch exhaust and downpipe, so that saves me some money there. I would like to redo the tip at the back. For those that know the Ford, I'm not a dual tip or double pipe kind of person. I love the single JDM look. Something that I was shocked with how expensive it is. I need to get a new spare wheel. There is a rim in the back with it on, but it's completely shredded, and those tires alone are super expensive, so it's worth just getting a new rim and tire, and they go for like 3,600 bucks. At the back I don't have a cover at the boot or on the boot to cover the spare wheel, so that's about 1,000 rand. Then a new glove box / in South African terms a cabiole. I think the hinges broke off, so I need to get a new one of those with the hinges. That's going to cost about 1,800 rand. Then, as you guys saw and as I stated in the first video, there are a few tears in the seats, and I will need to get all of the seats washed. I'll need to do a proper detail on the car's interior to get everything clean, because I don't know the guys that own the car before me what they did, but it's super dirty. It's like all mechanics, all 5 seats are just completely trashed. But to refurbish the seats is going to cost about 3 grand. That's another estimate I just made or got. And then the driver's side door handle, it has got some duct tape on now because it's busy deteriorating. That's another 520 bucks. And then getting to the windscreen, that's about 3,800 rand without install costs. Then another thing which was kind of scary on my way driving back from Krugersdorp, the bonnet latch, something's up with it. Me and Tina's kind of figured out what is going on. So on the inside of the car, the latch that you pull to release the bonnet, that's broken off, so we'll need to get that cable. And then on top of the bonnet, the actual latch is broken as well. To replace that bonnet latch and the cable, that's about 2,200 rand in parts. Then I noticed there's a leaking pipe at the back of the engine block. I'm not sure which one it is, so I just took an estimate price. That's about 500 rand. Next thing, I don't know whoever owned this car previously, what they did or what shortcuts they took, but there's some random wiring going to the injectors, or the coil packs going to the coil packs, as well as to the air intake sensor or airflow sensor, which is basically making the car not read the amount of air that it's getting into the engine correctly. So instead of replacing it with an OEM part, I was just thinking of getting a new intake, a cold air intake, and doing the wiring, redoing the wiring along with that. That's going to cost about $5,000. I think they did have a front lip on the car, as you see they put some carbon fiber tape on it, which is not really great, but I would like to get a new front lip. That's about 2,000 Rand. And then as you see, the front grille is kind of damaged. I don't know what happened, maybe it was dropped previous to install or as they were installing it, but a new grille or aftermarket grille for this is about $3,000. Then, as I spoke at the start of the video when I picked up the car, when I initially started driving it, the ABS sensors need coding. So I'm not sure if these guys replaced the ABS sensors. I'm thinking that they did, because I found a little box in the glove box. So to get the new, if they put in new ones, to get the new ABS sensors coded, that is about 2,800 Rand. And then the big shock of it all, we went through the engine. So I didn't mention any of this in the first video when picking it up, but I had the car about 3 weeks, drove it a little bit, being in limp mode. It didn't make any boost or anything, but something really started, I'm gonna say, clunking around in the engine bay. We eventually ended up taking off the oil pan. We found that cylinder number 4's rod cap or rod bearing has got some excessive wear, because when we drained the oil we found some metal shavings in the oil, which is never a good sign. And then also we found that the flywheel seems loose. Now that's something that should not be loose at all. So I'm not sure if the clunking is coming from a loose bolt on the flywheel, the actual flywheel being loose, or what it might be, but I have prepared for the worst and I have gotten a quote on getting a second-hand motor from Japan Auto, which is, it's kind of a benefit if I do get that, because it comes with a newer turbo, the coils are new, and all the piping is pretty much new on that as well. But that is by far the most expensive part of this project, and that new or second-hand motor from Japan Auto is about 65,000 Rand. Now you need to take into account that everything that I just mentioned on this entire list we will be installing ourselves, so we're saving on the labor costs there, but it also yet again takes time. I will not be doing all of these things all at once. My priority is to get the car registered on my name, and secondly driving, which means I will have to most likely opt for that second-hand motor. So I'm currently still in the process of building up some cash flow to be able to afford that second-hand motor, but when I do buy that and I replace this engine with that one, I will be stripping this engine for spares. So I'll sell the sub-assembly, I'll sell the head with its cams and everything separately. I'm not going to strip it down too finely, because I want to be able to sell full sets of things, so both cam gears or the full complete head. I don't believe there's any damage with the head or with the block itself. Like I said, it's just the one rod bearing that seems a bit worn. Oil pump is still fine, because I drove it all the way from Krugersdorp and I didn't have any oiling issues. So we'll be stripping this motor down to sell it and see if I can make up some of the cost of buying that second-hand motor. And to shock all of you guys, I paid 80, okay, with the registration fees from SMD, I paid about 83,000 Rand for this year behind me, which I think is a fair deal, but here's where it becomes a not so good investment, because in total all of the stuff that I need to get that I just mentioned now, that's not even other things that I might find along the way. All of these extra parts or new parts that I need to get this car in really good condition adds up to about 120,500 Rand.
Dang.
So it is an expensive project, and I know the value of these cars are currently sitting around 120, maybe 150 if you're lucky. So if I do decide to repair this car, do the engine and get everything done so I can get this car in a really good running condition, I might just keep it for a few years. This is a very special edition because these ones came with 188 kilowatts. I'm not sure with the newton meters on that, but it is a pretty special car. It was the first like facelift of the S3 after that really like boxy shape. I think the B7, I don't know if it's the B7, but it is a very special car, and for me that is a lot of money that you save at the end of the day than trying to build something from scratch. I've got a friend that has a built 1400 bucky that cost him like 400 grand to get the car in really consistent and reliable condition. So in saying that, I'm not negative about the auction experience. I think it's just due to my own impulsivity and lack of research that I bought something that has quite substantial damage. I think a better option would be to get something with slightly minor front or rear end damage, which you can just replace a bumper, replace a bonnet, and there you go, because the engines on those things are most likely in better condition than this. I was not expecting to have to replace a motor, because when I drove it back from Krugersdorp, it was in limp mode because of the ABS sensors, so that was a shock to me. But we all learn lessons in different ways, and it's definitely something, if I keep doing this in future, buying cars on auction, trying to fix them and sell them, I will be more noticeable of paying more attention to that. Another thing that I forgot to mention is the battery that we had to buy the day when I picked up the car. That's an additional 2,800 rand, which the battery cost, because I didn't have an old one to replace or to give it in to exchange for. So overall, I think the auction experience, it has been great. Doing it online was something I haven't experienced, so I did this auction completely online. I didn't actually go to SMD and they had an auction on the day. I did the auction online, and the reason why I actually ended up buying this car is because I went on SMD, saw the car, it had no bids, and then I think it was 3 weeks later I went on to SMD again and I saw the car still had no bids, and it was about like 2 or 3 hours before the bid closed. So I ended up bidding on the car and I won it, as you can see behind me. But I think being at an auction house where they actually pull up the car onto the stand and you get to walk around a little bit and see the extent of the damages is a bit better. So if I do this again, I might go that route in future. But overall, the auction experience, I think, is a great place if you have the capital to spend to buy a car and have some additional capital to fix up the car. It's a great place to start one of your own businesses, buying second-hand cars or buying accident damaged cars, repairing them and reselling them. I know a few people that currently do have that business model and they make substantial income off of that. It's also buying something that's in demand. So a car that they'll use for Uber, or a passenger car that's light on fuel. Those types of things you need to take into consideration, unless you're buying something for yourself as a project which you want to keep long term. So those are my tips and my little experience with this Audi so far. You'll see it is on jack stands currently, because we are getting close to taking out this motor. The process with Audi of taking out a motor is removing the whole front end, so the lights, the grille, the crash support, everything has to come out to be able to take the motor out. So we will be getting to that soon. We don't have an engine hoist, so we are going to use a jack to roll the engine out of once we have taken it out. And if I can get some of the parts from the engine sold within the shorter term, I will be able to purchase that second-hand engine, and hopefully, really hoping that it's just plugging in the new engine, coding it if coding is needed, and then going for a drive. Obviously, doing the registration and change of ownership, I'll have to do that again for the new motor, so I don't want to delay the process of registering the car and putting it on my name, but also don't want to pay twice to do the same thing. So I hope you guys enjoy this little breakdown of my auction experience and what is all up with this Audi S3. Like I say, it's a really brilliant car, 2008 Audi 8P S3 It's something that, I don't know if you guys play Need for Speed Pro Street, but it was one of the first cars you can buy or purchase, that or the Golf 5. As soon as I saw it and I actually got in and I drove it, just brought back so many nostalgic memories for me playing Need for Speed Pro Street. And as someone that's played racing games all my life, I think it's one of the best things, one of the best feelings ever, being able to purchase a car which you played in a game for like 10-15 years. So overall, great experience buying this car. Stick around to see what I will be doing on the car and to the car in the future, but I thank you guys for showing the support and the loyalty with the new purchase. And yeah, I hope to entertain you guys going forward with all the content we'll be able to create with fixing up this car and getting it back on the road. I just want to use this moment to give like a little bit of inspiration. And for me, it's, we all have valleys and mountaintops in our lives, and when you get stuck in a valley, in a low moment, as you might feel when buying a car and you see how much you have to spend, don't get stuck in that valley. Keep climbing, keep moving forward, because at the end of the day you will reach the next mountaintop, and you look back at the valley that you went through, you look at the peaks that you reached, and the journey will be all so worth it. So whenever you're facing something hard in life, or a moment where it feels like things are going against you, just keep moving forward, because at the end of the day you will reach that mountain peak and you will look back victorious over whatever it was you had to overcome. Once again, just ask you guys nicely to hit the like button. It really does help get the content out to a lot more people. Hit the subscribe if you'd like to see this build series going forward. And yeah, just thank you so much for all the support, people who repost, who share, and who like and comment on the videos. I really appreciate you guys. And I have created some merch already of the Ford, and hopefully if I can get the Audi up and running, I can go do a shoot sometime soon and create some merch regarding the Audi. But if merch is something that you'd be interested in, comment down below what it would be: a hoodie, a shirt, windshield banners, whatever it might be. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Cheers.
Memphis, man.